let you take it away, friend.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Emily. You know, it's so crazy, you guys, hearing all of those things read off. It feels like not that long ago, my sister-in-law, who's my sponsor in my upline, Danielle, and I were doing events, and we were the only two showing up. So it's crazy to see, where my business has come. And I do feel like we're just in this season of momentum and so many exciting things happening. But what I just really want to share with you guys today is just my heart in patiently and persistently creating that kind of success, because as Emily shared, I've been with Arbonne now for 12 years. I'd say it's my longest relationship because I've been married to Dan for 11, and I started Arbonne the year before that. And my goodness, what an incredible gift it has been in my life, and what a tremendous blessing it's been to my family. And not only just me personally, but if you did see my training at GTC, you know I have several family members in Arbonne as well. And to see the way that it has just had this ripple effect and impact so many of our lives is just so, so remarkable. So, you know, I almost hesitate when people are like reading all those accolades. I'm like, it just sounds so fancy. And I'm not a fancy person. And I just want you guys to hear my heart in saying that those things are so much closer than you think. So much closer than you think. I still sometimes am like, how did I get here? How did I get here? But I'm going to tell you how I got here, because you guys, it was a lot of little decisions compounded over time. And I think sometimes, especially in the summer months, we can tend to get distracted or discouraged. But I just want you guys to know how much what you do on a daily, consistent basis matters so much. And I'm going to kind of combine what I've been learning from two different sources. One, just in rereading the book, The Slight Edge, and how little shifts in your life compounded over time can bring you massive success and huge change in your life. And also having the chance several years ago to work directly one-on-one with Tanda Cook. And my health was in a terrible, terrible place, but she just really, really transformed my life by introducing this concept of 1 degree shifts and doing one small thing that you can consistently shift compounded over time. And I'm just so excited to share with you guys. I feel like I'm kind of in rare form because, first of all, I have 5 kids and none of them are here right now. So I'm like, I got all the time in the world. We can talk as long as you guys want. My parents took them. So that's one reason why I'm like kind of rare form tonight, but also having just come back from France, that was my first NVP challenge trip that I had the privilege of being on. And not only being able to be on my first NVP challenge trip and be with other national vice presidents that had earned it, be with Jean David and Stian and Jen Orlando and all of that, but also the ability to visit Groupe Rocher and to see that incredible organization and to hear from their perspective how excited they are to be partnering with us, how excited they are about what we're doing in Arbonne, and how excited they are for our future together, and being able to walk the acres of plants and botanicals that they're growing, you know, for their products, and being able to walk down super fancy streets in Paris and see Louis Vuitton and Chanel and all these stores that I didn't even know existed before Arbonne, and then see an Yves Rocher store there, like amongst all of it. It just was so incredible to know how exciting our future is. So I want you guys to know that, being able to be there, I just want to like bring home a little piece of that for you guys, because it was just really, really incredible to hear about the founder, Yves Rocher, like his vision for empowering people and changing people's lives and doing it through healthier products. And then having Stian be there and just realizing like, man, the founder of Groupe Rocher and Petter had so many similarities. So just like I said, being able to be there and being a part of that excitement. And I have never in my 12 years been more excited about where we're headed. So the first thing that I just want to share with you is, like, whatever has happened in your business to this point, today is a new day. It doesn't matter whether you've had great success. You know, we can't rest on that. We have to keep working today. We have to keep making today new, or whether things have not worked out the way that you want to. Again, today is a new day, and the direction that we're headed and the partnership that we have with Group Rocher is so exciting. So I challenge you, no matter where your business is, to just remind yourself that your past does not define where you're going, as long as you choose to make something of today. So I'm so excited because, this is July. And so I did this training for my team a couple weeks ago where it's like kicking off the second half of the year. And I want you guys to really think about where you want to be when the ball drops. And I want you to think about where you want to be in key areas of your life, not just in your business. I identified 3 areas in my life that I really, really want to see growth. And it's my relationships, my health, and my business. And I picked 3 key areas where I want to slight edge and know that I am moving. I love the quote that says you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. And so by picking things that I want to do that are going to compound over time and are going to help me, they're going to align with my goals and these exciting things that are happening. Because what you do now in the summer months matters so much. And I know, like I said, there can be distractions and there can be discouragements, but I want you guys to think about this analogy. So one time we're traveling, we went to this water park and there was a water slide and you could climb up, there was like just these huge flights of stairs and you could climb up, and then there were different options where you could get off and you could hop onto a water slide. So you could like climb up the first flight of steps and hop on a slide and just have kind of this nice little ride down, or you could keep climbing and you could pick the medium one, or you keep climbing, and it kept going and going until it was like super, super high. And I know sometimes in our business, it feels like you're climbing, but I want to encourage you every day to just take that next step. So many times we get to this point in the month and we feel like, maybe we're not where we wanted to be at mid-month checkpoint, or maybe we set out with these huge goals and we're starting to doubt if it's possible. But I want you guys to really fight having that sort of mentality or thinking that your goal should change just because of the day of the month. Like, what you want to do is make sure that even though sometimes it feels hard, it feels challenging, it feels like there's obstacles coming up against you, keep taking that next step, because you're planting seeds for a harvest that you cannot see. And as you continue to take those steps, you're continuing to increase the amount of momentum that's going to start picking up when things start popping and start happening in your business. And I love thinking about it like a step, because there's times where I'm like, you know what, I am frustrated, or things are not going the way, and it's the way that I anticipated. And so we start to get discouraged and we start to think like, maybe next month, or maybe I'll just, put this on hold, or, things, my circumstances will change next month. Next month will be easier. But you guys, choosing to every day continue to take those steps is what's going to get you to higher. And it's going to allow you to have so much more momentum when things start to pick up. If we stop and we take a break and we're just kind of resting on the step that we're on, we're not going to get any higher or create any more momentum in our business. So knowing that even though sometimes it feels like the climbing phase, that you're planting seeds, like I said, for sometimes a harvest you can't see yet today. And I want to give you an example of that. I remember when I was an area manager and I was going for region. Where are my area managers? I have such a huge heart for area managers, because in my personal experience, that was my longest, most challenging, trying, difficult, refiner's fire part of my journey. And area managers, I feel like we're starting to deal with a lot of like leadership stuff, and what's coaching too much and what's coaching too little, and people are coming and people are going and our numbers are going up and then they're like imploding, and it's just a kind of a challenging place to be. At least it was in my experience. And I can remember people around me were like, you have to decide you're going region. And I vividly remember like declaring, like, I'm doing it. And I told Danielle, I was like, we're doing this. We're going region. It's happening this month. I decided, I declared it. This is happening. And then I vividly remember on the last day of the month, sitting on her couch in her living room, crying because we had finished around 12,000 QV. Okay, you need 40. to go into region qual. We finished at 12. You guys, I felt so discouraged and so silly. I was like, who am I to think that I could have gone region qual this month? Like, I felt so silly. I was embarrassed that I had like put it out there, that I had told my team. But you guys, I didn't have a perspective at that point to realize that although Arbonne functions on a a calendar month cycle, that it really truly doesn't matter, because the goal doesn't change. Maybe just the date does a little bit. But the work that I did and the decision that I made and the excitement that I created with my team, even though at the end of the month we finished at 12,000, you guys, it was the seeds that we planted, the reach outs that we did, the activity that we did that month that ended up catapulting us into momentum to go region a couple months later. So it seems so much further off than it is, and the work that you do matters, because you're just continuing to climb the stairs so that, like I said, when things do start to take off, I'm such a numbers statistical person. Fourth quarter is coming, and that's always the biggest statistically in Arbonne. And you guys, between like where Arbonne is headed and where Jean David is taking us and the fourth quarter coming, like, do not waste the opportunity to build this summer. Do not waste the opportunity. And I'm not saying you have to make it your life all day, but like slight edge, you have to do little bits consistently over time, and it will make such a huge impact. So I remember that happening in my business. Another thing that I remember happening is that so like salt in the wound, right after I was crying on Danielle's couch because I felt extremely short of region qual. The next month, we go to a meeting, and we were celebrating with sidelines because we did meetings with sidelines at the time. And there was a girl who started way after I started my business. And at this meeting, like right after, I was like, we're going region. We finished at 12,000. Okay, so then like the next month, we go to this meeting, and this girl who started way after me is celebrating her promotion to regional vice president. She had just finished that last month. She obviously did it way faster than I did. So I totally forgot about this. Danielle actually reminded me of this. She's like, remember that time that we went to the meeting and you were all like super excited for the girl, and then we got in the car in the parking lot. Like I got in her car, cried again. So I'm like crying again because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Do I have what it takes? Like, she started way after me. And now, she promoted to regional vice president, and we start playing those, we get that head trash of like, do I have what it takes? Do I have the networks? Can I do this? Maybe it's me. We start thinking, believing those lies. And you guys, today, looking at my journey now, when Emily was reading all those things, like, my goodness, like, what a gift to be able to share at GTC, to have the opportunity to go to France, to see 5 incredible leaders on my team promote to national vice president in the last 8 months. Like, having all of those things happen, what I want you to know is I wouldn't trade my slow and steady journey for anything. And that girl that went region faster than I did, I don't even think she's still doing Arbonne anymore. I don't think that she's even still like building a business. I think she has like a consultant ID and uses it. But what I want you to hear out of that story is to just embrace your own journey, because you're writing a beautiful story that's going to inspire other people, and having the courage to get back up, which leads me to my third and final story. These all happened, by the way, at area manager. I love my area managers. I feel you. And I know there's discouragements throughout the whole thing. Don't get me wrong, but I had a rough journey. I was in area, and then I lost my area, and then I got it back. Nikki Smith, if you know Nikki Smith, she calls it squared. She'll be like, I was an MVP squared. If you go twice. So area manager, the last story that I vividly remember, and I reference this in my training at GTC, was that I was laying in my bed. I literally was like curled up in the fetal position, had the covers up over my head, and I just was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I wanted it so badly, and I wanted to build my business, but I just didn't know like how to close the gap. And I just kept telling myself, like, just get up, like, you have to get up. And I did a live for someone else asked me to do a training last week, and I did a live, and I was saying to them, I was like, if I could go back to that girl who was scared and insecure and trying to do something, but struggling to believe in herself, let alone lead other people, I could go back and like peel back the covers and be like, hey, like, it's okay, get up. Like, here's what I would tell her. And I started telling it, and you guys, I started like sobbing on the live. I was like, I'm so sorry. I started crying so hard. So I'm not going to do that today because I already got it out of my system. But what I want to say is it's okay. It's okay. Like, everybody deals with these doubts and these discouragements and these feelings of inadequacy. And if I could give you one piece of advice, it would be go to work on yourself and your belief in yourself, and just choose every day to pursue health, like your own health and love and joy, because you will attract people to your business when you are on this journey of improving yourself and, pursuing those things. People will be attracted to what you're doing. Obviously, you have to reach out and you have to ask and you have to do those things. But I wish if I could go back and I could say something to that girl hiding under her covers. I wish that I could say, stop wasting so much time doubting yourself. You are created for a purpose, and your story, I know it's still unfolding, but it's just so amazing to me to see now, like, where my business is, and to know, like, looking back, that I journeyed through all of that. And so I know I can't go back, and I can't say that to my younger self, but what I want to say to you guys is you have what it takes. You have what it takes to do this inside of you. And I know sometimes it takes some work to bring that out, but you have what it takes to do this, and you are enough. You're enough, and you are created with a purpose. And you know what's really crazy, you guys, is speaking at GTC was never, ever, ever on my radar. And I don't know if that's because I was just like afraid, equally afraid of doing it as much as I thought, like, I don't know. I just didn't know if my business would ever be in a place that I would be asked to speak. But I decided in December of last year that I needed to start stepping into my greatness, because I'm just the kind of person that always is like very like unassuming, or like, I don't think people remember me. I'm constantly, even still, like, yeah, I'm Carrie, Danielle's sister-in-law. And they're like, I know who you are. And I'm like, okay, well, I just want to make sure. I remember I did it to Valerie Edwards once. I was like, yeah, I'm Carrie. And she's like, Carrie, I spoke at your region celebration. I was like, I know, but that was like 5 years ago. I don't know if you remember that. Like, I just am so, I decided because of other things. She did. She literally flew in and spoke at my region. She's like, what are you doing? You're crazy. But I decided that I'm not serving anybody by playing small. And through other things happening in my life, I really just felt like God was really working on me in, like, your voice matters. You need to start stepping into your strengths and your greatness. And you need to know that your story matters. As, scared as you are, or as much as you think other people can do it better, like, you have a story and your voice matters. So I decided in January that was going to be my focus for the year, that I was just going to focus on your voice matters. In February, we had a manager's retreat, and I did a training on it. And I talked about, like, you guys, your voice matters. And I want you to step out with me. And I want you to really pursue the things that God has laid on your heart. And I want you to believe that you have what it takes to do this, and that your journey matters no matter what point of the journey you're in. We had this whole thing about your voice matters. And then in March, I got called by Sarah Fossum. And I thought she was calling me about France. I knew I had earned France, so I thought she was just calling to, like, go over details. And she was like, I would like to ask you if you would train at GTC. And I was so taken back. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, that's amazing. And I'm expecting like a breakout training or something. And she's like, on the main stage. I think at that point I like stopped responding. So I was like, okay. And then she said, right before Dana. And I was like, Dana? As in Dana Collins, the keynote? And she's like, yes. And the topic is vision. And I'm like, you guys, I just was so confused. And again, I know this is part of like owning, my greatness and stepping into that and all that. But I was so confused because from a corporate standpoint, the last training I did was the holiday line at an Impact. So I'm like, how did I get picked to go from holiday line, which is basically like just reading a script, to vision? And I was like, I ended up asking her when we were backstage rehearsing, I was like, why did you pick me to do vision? And she said, because I knew that you would put your heart and soul into that training. And that's what I needed somebody to do for that topic. And so even quietly, somehow, like, she knew that about me. And you guys, people are watching you, and people want to be a part of what you're doing. And having the platform to share, and then receiving so many incredible messages afterwards. And before I even spoke at GTC, was asked to be the keynote speaker at Albany. And I just was like, okay, Lord, like, if there's any way to confirm, like, your voice matters, it's getting an invitation just to, you know, that is aligning with what he's trying to teach me. It's like saying, hey, you're going to speak in front of 18,000 people. You guys, it's so funny because this is just how my mind works. She asked before GTC if I'd be the keynote in Albany. And I have never gone to Albany. You know, I live in Ohio. I don't know that, I'm not like close with that many MVPs that are in New York. And so, like, when she asked me to be the keynote before GTC, I was like, Sarah, I was like, is Albany even gonna like know who I am? She's like, yes, they are. But I'm like, no, seriously. I'm like, you might want to wait till GTC before you announce that, because I was like, I'm not sure that's going to be great for your ticket sales. And she was like, well, they're gonna know after GTC. And I was like, fair. Like, let me at least get through that, and then you can say, and Carrie Kane is speaking in Albany. But anyways, you guys, it's just been a journey for me realizing, like, your voice does matter, and yours does. Oh, I see someone saying that they're coming to Albany. I'm so excited. So I've just been learning so much this year, you guys, about just embracing your journey, but taking responsibility for it at the same time, and building with urgency. And I want you guys to know that after coming home from France and just seeing where my business has grown to, and if this doesn't tell you what kind of momentum Arbonne is in, you guys, I was a national vice president by myself for 5 years. I kept saying every year I'd go to Maui and I'd be like, I'm not coming back without someone on my team. And then next January I'd be like, okay, I am going back. But next year I am bringing somebody with me. So for 5 years, you guys, I was a national vice president by myself. And then in an 8-month time span, we promoted 5 national vice presidents. So think about that, in less than a year. So for 5 years, I was a national vice president by myself. And then in less than a year, we had 5 national vice presidents promote. If that doesn't tell you what kind of momentum Arbonne is in, or the power of consistently building your business over time, then I don't know what does. And I know that we're just getting started. I know that there's so many other things like popping up in my business. I'm just so excited about it. And you guys have your own story, and your voice matters. And there's so many people that deserve to hear about this incredible gift that we have to offer. I just want to really encourage you guys to embrace these summer months. It's not about the amount of time we have left in the month. It's about the energy that we bring to that time. And so even if you're in a season of climbing, just know that it's going to be so worth it to keep consistently climbing, because, like I said, you're preparing for a harvest that you cannot yet see. And I promise you it's worth it. It's so unbelievably worth it. And I'm so humbly grateful to be a part of it and to be sharing with you a little bit. So I hope you guys were able to learn like a little something from my journey. I don't know if you have any other questions or anything else you want me to talk about.
Carrie, that was absolutely amazing. Like, Sarah and I are sitting here, we're like, now I'm hearing a major echo. Can you turn that one down over there, girls? Sorry.
That's right, because you guys are together, right?
Look at Carrie. All the MVP.
One wave, guys.
Oh, hi. Looks so beautiful.
Yeah, all the MVPs sitting in Carlita's backyard and listening on the big screen. You've been on the big screen for our nighttime entertainment here. But Carrie, as I'm listening to this, and guys, how many of you are so encouraged right now listening to your story? Because Carrie, I mean, have you had moments in your journey where you were like, is it worth it? Should I keep going? Or even just like had little thoughts where like, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that's what I wish I could go back and tell my younger Arbonne self is like, stop it. Stop wasting time doing that. It's just distracting you from building something incredible.
See, that's powerful, guys, because we do hear, you guys heard all of her stats. She's $1 million success line, 5 nations, but you get to see her highlight reel. You didn't get to see however many years ago when you had that moment of tears in the car, even though we all laughed when you were sharing your stories. Hearing those, I mean, and I can relate to those stories. I know you can relate to those stories. I think we all can relate to those stories. And so I guess one thing I'd love to have you do just to finish us tonight, and I didn't ask you to do this, but I'm sure you can come up with something. What's one call to action you would challenge all 220 people as we leave tonight?
So I would say, oh man, okay, just one. I would say, I don't know if this is like a specific call to action, but if you can have clarity and courage, like if you can get really clear about where you want to be at the end of this year and just really, really see that so clearly in your mind and have the courage to do what you know you need to do. So many like bursts of momentum in my business have been from just 30 seconds of courage. Like just, I'm going to do it. I'm going to reach out to that person. I'm going to ask. And I was like such a scaredy cat at the beginning to ask or to put it out there or, anything like that. And I have learned that even a no is a seed planted. And so many times they come around. You guys, I had coworkers that were kind of, passively aggressively making fun of me for doing Arbonne when I worked as an interpreter. And I invited her, this has been years since I stopped working there, but I had invited one of my coworkers, who was kind of like the ringleader of that little group, to come to a nutrition event because things changed in her life and she has just been going through a really, really hard time. And I was like, you should come hear about the nutrition event. And you know what she said to me? She said, so they're all still working at the same place. And she said to me, you know what we talk about all the time? And I was like, no. And she said, we talk about how much we regret not joining you when you first started Arbonne. And that was so powerful to me because I'm like, so many times we get shut down by other people's opinions or other people's misperceptions or other people. And it's like, we don't need their permission. I know it's hard to work through, but a no is still a seed planted. And if you are able to reach out to somebody and you say, and don't overcomplicate it, like just to be like, hey, I'm doing this. Have you ever considered it? Like I think you'd be amazing and we would have so much fun doing it together. You know how much power there is in telling somebody like, let's do this together. Like, let's lock arms and let's do this. And just keeping it so casual. The fact that like, even if it's a no, the fact that you thought enough of them to ask them, they're going to start looking at what you do differently. Even if they're like, no, everybody's initial reaction, not everybody, but, a lot of people's is like, oh, no. But they're going to start watching your posts a little differently. They're going to start like seeing things through a different lens of like, she believed I could do this. It's going to start planting that seed of like, maybe, what if I could? And in time, they come around. So we cannot let the no's keep us from still being standing when they do come around. So I guess that would be my thing. Clarity and courage.
I love it. That's a great way for us to end tonight. And Carrie, this was such a good call. I know for everybody, no matter what level you are, right? You guys are feeling inspired and encouraged to go do the little things, because that was so great how you just talked about that, because it is tiny little things that end up building and the momentum and the people that we all work on and talk to right now. They might not start right now, but in 3 months' time, what happens if somebody you talk to right now and they say no, and in 2 or 3 months they say yes, and then they go to region in the next 5 months? I mean, it's kind of fun to start thinking, well, what could happen? And almost think of it like a good book that we're reading and we're working through, you know. But
Yeah.
Carrie, thank you so much. This was powerful and amazing. I love you and I appreciate your time so much.
I love you guys so much. So much. Have fun together.
Yeah.
Take care.
We will. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you later.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
everybody for being on. Bye everyone.